Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today I'm in the laboratory in Southwest Florida and I wanted to share with you yet again some orchid growth a few weeks or actually a few months after deflasking. I'm doing this again because I'm getting a lot of inquiries about exactly what I'm doing. And I think that people, because my orchids look so good after deflasking, a few months after deflasking, I think people aren't trusting my results. So I wanna come here and tell you, there's no AI involved. These are not fake. There are some orchid YouTube channels where images are really manipulated, where you add tea and garlic and banana peels and get incredible growth. That's not real. This is real. This is not fake. No AI, like I said. And just to prove it to you, I want to show you some of the worst results that I have with some of the deflasked orchids. Some of these deflasked orchids don't look very good. And just so you maybe trust me a little bit more, I want to share some of those with you and explain to you why I think they don't look very good. So I actually have these 3 tubs contain orchids that either because of their genetics or because of their background and where they came from, and where they came from is in this case a really old flask, and it's taking a while for the orchids to recover from that old nasty flask. But then I also have something that is exceptional, that's really good. And again, none of this stuff is fake. And I wanted to share it all with you. So let's take a look at this tub first. And this has been, most of these have been between 2 and 3 months since the plants were deflasked. And again, normally at this time, 2 or 3 months, you get incredible root growth, you get shoot growth, some additional pseudobulbs growing out, depending on what the orchid is. But this is Cata Vera. And this is actually a hybrid, it's a primary hybrid between Cattleya trini and Cattleya labiata. And this was a cross that was made by Alan Black, who's a very famous Cattleya and Brassivola breeder. He provided some seed to me. I'm not sure if he wanted to see if I could get them to grow or whether he just had so much he felt he needed to share it with me. But I do appreciate it. And these plants, generally, they look okay, but they don't look very good. I'm not getting the kind of growth that I normally get on these things. I get a little bit of browning, but I'm not and I've noticed that this primary hybrid, for some reason, even the seeds, when I grew them, they were really slow to respond. So typically with primary hybrids, they have increased vigor. These, for some reason, they're not like that. The parents, I trust him that he had good parents that he used in this cross. And they're growing okay, but they're really slow. And again, this is not good. The plants they're just growing a little slow. They're not, the roots, not an incredible amount of root growth, not a whole lot of pseudobulbs that are growing out of it. But they're doing okay, but they're not great. And these are some of sorry, Alan, if you're watching, this is some of the worst performing orchids that I've seen since deflasking. And this has been 3 months since deflasking. So like I said, normally it's much faster than this. And I mean, some of them are doing well, but for the most part, they're just not doing very well. And I did pick the best ones. I got a lot of seeds. There were embryos in the seeds, but even the seeds were really slow to respond, like I said. So anyway, so that is Cattleya Vera. Whether it's this cross or these conditions or something, not doing great. So I guess some of the worst responding that I've seen. Okay, second one that I wanted to share with you is also not one of my seed lots. And I'm sorry, Tristan, if you're watching, but this is from Tristan Ingram at Ingrid's Orchids and More. He likes a lot of different species, and this is a Dendrobium species, and this is Dendrobium Sandere. The species sometimes are challenging to grow, and that was the case with this. So even though this is a Dendrobium, in often cases my Dendrobiums, here's a flask of one of my Dendrobiums right here. One of my other Dendrobiums, not this. And they normally do really well in the medium formulations that I'm using. These have tended to stay a little bit short. Also, I'm looking here at this Dendrobium Sandere, and the roots aren't growing very well. The plants are not, they're okay, I guess, and I'm not familiar enough with the plant to know how the plant itself grows. Pseudobulbs or the canes are getting really thick on some of these, but again, not extensive root growth, and the plants just aren't that tall. So, not great. And, so I wanted to, again, this is the worst stuff. And I wanted to share it with you because most of my stuff looks way better than this. But I wanted to prove to you, because I have people contacting me and, sending me pictures of what their deflasked orchids look like, and mine look a whole lot better. So I think what I'm trying to get you to do is kind of, trust your eyes when you look at my videos. Trust the data. I've always told my students, trust the data. When you generate data, when you're looking at things, you generate things, and it's in disagreement with the literature, with what other people are telling you, you need to trust your eyes and trust your data, as long as it's presented fairly to you, as long as you did the experiment right. So these are the worst. They still look okay, but these are kind of the worst of what I have. And we're getting to one of the good ones here. Again, not a cross that I made. So let's take a look at another bad one, and that's right here. And this is a Certupodium Punctata. And so there's a lot in here. The reason that these look bad, and I know why these look bad, is because this was a really old flask. So when you deflask, it's a good idea to have big plants in the flask, and it's a good idea to deflask at the right time. Once they start turning, yellow or a little bit brown or something like this, that's not good. And these were well past the brown and yellow. So these were plants that but I've grown these before, and I know they're very responsive. So what happened on this is, even though the plants themselves didn't look good, and here's a leaf that has fallen off of the plant, because that's the original leaf. But what happens on these things is the original orchid, and it's because of the type of orchid that it is, the Certupodium punctatum, they're deciduous. And what happens with this is all of the original orchid leaf tissue has largely fallen off. But then what happens is you get new new shoots that grow out of this. So in something like this, you can see the original shoot right here, but then this is a new one growing out of it. But overall, these they look okay, but they don't look great. I've had most of my other orchids look way better than this. But these are recovering, and these are going to do well, and they're going to grow out. And here I've got one that is, growing out of the top of the container. But as you look at these, there's a lot of browning of the leaf tissue. But that's the original leaf. But then you can also look at the base of these plants, and you can see new shoots coming out, which is desirable, and that's what you want. But again, this is kind of what you get, and it's not great, but it's okay. So most of what I have here, it's not because I'm doing anything wrong or different. It's because that sometimes the genetics or the background of the plant are just not going to give great growth when you deflask. Again, I've shown you over the past few years, I've shown you what the nice ones look like. And sometimes the amount of growth that you'll get on these things within the first 3 months of deflasking are just incredible. And the reality of it is that's standard for me, is that most of my orchids look really good. I think that I'm starting to get the hang of deflasking these orchids. Okay, so this one is another one that I wanted to share with you, and this is another cross that I did not make, and this is one of Jim's crosses. And it's just, and I talked with him about this the other day, and he looked at me and he goes, huh, the amount of root growth that I'm getting out of these, and I should look at this. This has been 2.5 months, but the amount of root growth that I'm getting on these is something I haven't really seen before. So this is good. I actually have seen it before, but this is really exceptional growth. And this is, again, one of his Cattleya hybrids. I'm not even sure what the parents were, but you've got roots on some of these things that are, yeah, it's stuck to the polypropylene container. As they crawl up, yeah, that one too. So as the roots, I mean, they're growing down in the orchiata bark. They're growing into, and you got to watch this whenever this happens. So this does happen a lot for me. Whenever this happens, as you remove the plants, what happens is the root from this orchid grows into its neighbor's pot, and they all get kind of intermingled. So you got to really be careful when you pull them apart. This is a little bit unusual because what's happening is this orchid right here is growing up the side, and this is polypropylene. This is a really slick material, but it's grabbing on, so it's stuck. And so I'm going to have to very carefully wet this and kind of dislodge it before these things come out of here. And the same thing with this orchid. So they're really, the roots in here are really growing phenomenally well. I don't have, usually I'll have a little bit more, well, there's good pseudobulb growth in here also. But these plants look really, really good. As I looked at all of my plants this morning, so what I did is I pulled out, again, for this video today, I pulled out the worst performers for you. And so I showed you 3 of the worst performers. And as I'm looking out the room, I think I probably have about 12 to 15 tubs in here. So these 3 right here are the worst performers. This is a really nice one. I do have a lot. I have other ones that look like this that are some of my hybrids, but they're not quite as far along after deflasking. So generally, my orchids tend to look more like this. Lots of nice root growth across the top. A lot of pseudobulbs growing out even after 2-3 months. Pseudobulbs growing out of the base of the plant, so really phenomenal growth. But, and I wanted to share with this with you just to give you a balance of, you know, the worst and some really nice stuff. And again, my stuff tends to be towards here. So trust your eyes, trust your data, depending on where it's coming from. If I tell you there's no, in YouTube, you're supposed to say whether there's AI involved in generating the videos, but I don't think everyone checks it. But you know, this is real stuff. This is how it works for me. If you're trying my procedures and you're not getting these same results, you know, try changing the bark type. Try going over my 12 steps to successful deflasking more carefully, and make sure you follow it completely. If you're looking at my videos, if you're following my protocol, and I've got 12 steps and you only do 11, well, that's only 11, and maybe step 12 is the critical step that you didn't follow. But I've optimized, not quite completely, but close to optimized the protocol for deflasking, and for the most part with these plants, these guys look good. It's getting tweaked. The flasking is pretty close to tweaked. The deflasking is pretty close to tweaked. Now I just need to learn how to grow the damn plants. Okay, That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right. Once again, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and happy propagating.